Welcome to the Know, I'm Brian. The person behind EA's canceled Star Wars project has left the company. She's actually been gone for several months now and has started her own studio. You might remember that last year EA shut down Visceral Games, which had been working on a Star Wars project that was headed up by Uncharted creator Amy Hennig. Since then, that project of course has been put on ice and EA pivoted to a new Star Wars game out of its Vancouver studio. Well, Eurogamer recently asked Hennig about the situation and she said she has got nothing to do with Star Wars games anymore. She told Eurogamer, "I've not worked at EA since January, technically, legally." You might remember that the game she was working on was codenamed Ragtag, but apparently EA executives thought it was too linear and canceled it. I don't know why you would hire the creator of Uncharted and be surprised that her game was too linear. Why anyway, Hennig added that she started her own small studio now and said, "I'm not doing anything Star Wars, and who knows what the future may hold, but that project is on the shelf now." Hennig later added on Twitter, "To clarify, I left EA 6 months ago, shortly after the closure of Visceral, along with most of the team. The story we were crafting has essentially been shelved, but EA Vancouver's Star Wars game is still very much alive, and I wish my colleagues there nothing but the best." There are more reports out there that Google might be trying to get into video games. Kotaku reports that Google could be working on some kind of gaming console. Now, what it might look like, that's not set in stone yet, but it could include hardware, some sort of streaming platform, or even acquiring developers and bringing them into Google's fold. Of course, we've been hearing rumblings about this before. Back in February, the tech site The Information reported that Google was developing a subscription-based game streaming service. It was codenamed Yeti that could work on the Chromecast browser or even a console that's made by Google. Kotaku reported that in March, Google reps met with several video game companies at the Game Developers Conference to see if they had any interest in its Yeti platform. So no word yet from Google on any of this, but obviously this would have major ramifications in the gaming world if it does pan out. So did you ever have a pet hamster as a kid, you guys? Question for the audience. Did you ever let it run around your house in one of those clear plastic balls so it couldn't shit all over your house, maybe get eaten by the cat? If you ever did that, that's basically the new Overwatch hero. Yeah, Blizzard rolled out the game's latest hero and he's named Hammond the Hamster. But in the game, he goes by the much tougher name Wrecking Ball. According to the game's website, he is a resourceful tinkerer with remarkable mechanic skills whose intelligence grew to basically like awesome levels after some lab tests. He ended up escaping and he competed in the Scrapyard Gladiatorial Arena as Wrecking Ball. He's the game's newest tank class. He's got quad machine guns and, of course, the ability to transform into a rolling ball. He can also swing around via a grappling hook, he can deploy proximity mines, and create a personal shield for those around him. He's also got a move called Pile Driver where he slams into the ground to damage enemies and launch them into the air. Sounds pretty cool. If you're interested, he is available for testing right now in the Overwatch PTR. Alright, so after days of trying to fix it, Epic says it still doesn't know when Fortnite's new playground mode will be back online. You might remember that the new mode, which gives players an hour to do whatever they want before the fighting starts, it released earlier this week, but if you blink, you probably missed it because Epic took it down after just a few hours due to matchmaking issues and other problems. Epic, now they promised us an update last night. They gave us an update. They said they're still working on it. Epic tweeted last night, "We need to continue testing our matchmaking improvements before opening the playground. We know that you're eager to get out there, but due to this, we'll be unable to release this game mode tonight. More details available tomorrow." So whatever this issue is, it sounds like a doozy. We'll see if the mode comes back today, but I wouldn't hold your breath. Looks like Fortnite is getting some more competition in the Battle Royale space. The H1Z1 Battle Royale, hey, they were before Fortnite even. Their open beta on PlayStation 4 continues to rack up an impressive player count. Daybreak Games says that H1Z1 Battle Royale beta now has over 10 million players on PlayStation 4, and it's jumped big time. That's more than double from 4.5 million it had at the end of May. And if you downloaded and played the game on PlayStation 4 before June 27th, the devs are giving you some goodies, a Darkfire truck and a Sunrise parachute in-game skin. Don't worry though, PC players, you're also getting a gift, the Homecoming Scrub set and the Z1 Zombie Mask. The PC scrubs can be acquired by playing one match of solos, duos, or fives between now and Wednesday, July 4th. Interestingly, while Fortnite, they are still the big dog. They got 125 million players. H1Z1 is actually growing at around the same rate that Fortnite was back when it launched last year, so that's a really good sign for the game. Speaking of games with millions of players, State of Decay 2 just passed the 3 million player mark. Microsoft made the announcement, and to celebrate, they're rolling out the game's first post-launch content. It's called the Independence Pack. Definitely 4th of July themed. It's a collection of patriotic loot, including 3 zombie-ready vehicles, access to a supply drop containing 3 new patriotic melee weapons, 2 unique ranged weapons, and of course, a shitload of fireworks. It wouldn't be 4th of July without if you didn't start accidental fires. That update, it's available now for Xbox One and PC. Now, if you were into Steam Analytics, you were probably a big fan of Steam Spy. That was the tool that was super useful if you wanted to dig into a game's stats. How many players it had, peaks, like it gave you all kinds of info. But a few months ago, Valve changed its user privacy settings, which made the data tool basically impossible to use. Now though, Valve says it will be making something better. Valve's head of business developer, John Peter Ewert, he was asked about making analytical tools available for developers, and he said that Valve is working on, quote, new tools and new ways of getting data out of Steam to give developers something better than Steam Spy. And he also said they would make it more accurate and more useful. So that's good news because Steam Spy is super helpful. It's glad that they're not giving up on that. All right, some bad news, guys. The robots, they're beating us at Dota 2. First chess, then go, now this. The Victorious AI bots were developed by OpenAI. That is a nonprofit AI research company who was co-founded by a little somebody named Elon Musk. In a blog post, OpenAI said it used 5 neural networks, which were called the OpenAI 5, and they defeated amateur human teams at Dota 2. Oh, so they just whipped up on some scrubs. Maybe this isn't that big of a story. But people say in the AI field that this accomplishment is significant because it showed that AI can work as a team. Even Bill Gates noticed the accomplishment. He tweeted about it and he called their victory a huge milestone in advancing artificial intelligence. All right, after well over a decade of false starts and almost happens, we may finally see a live-action Halo adaptation. Awesome. Everybody from Alex Garland to Peter Jackson and Neil Blomkamp tried to make it work, but it looks like Halo will ultimately find a home at Showtime. 343's head of transmedia, Kiki Wolfkill, who happens to have the coolest fucking name ever, announced the news and said that Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment is gonna produce it. Rise of the Planet of the Apes' Rupert Wyatt will direct it. Kylie Killen of Lone Star and Mind Games will showrun the series. That's a lot of names. Try pronouncing them all. But you know whose name was not at all mentioned in this release? Master Chief. In fact, the press release kind of dances around him a lot, promising a new experience set in the Halo universe, which sounds an awful lot like we might not see one of our favorite characters. You know, the person who Halo revolves around. Time will tell. The series is in pre-production now. It's expected to shoot sometime next year. All right, speaking of Steven Spielberg, we may have some Indiana Jones news for you guys. We know Spielberg has been prepping for a 5th and likely final outing for Dr. Jones. Now we know that the development took a turn recently. Collider is reporting that Solo, a Star Wars story screenwriter Jon Kasdan, will take over scripting duties from regular Spielberg writer David Koepp. Now, Koepp has written Jurassic Park, The Lost World, War of the Worlds, and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for Spielberg's, but it's not all that much of a jump for Kasdan to take over, considering his dad, Lawrence Kasdan, was on the ground floor of this franchise when he wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, that's the OG Indiana Jones movie. Now, the younger Kasdan co-wrote Solo with his dad. Looks like he's carrying on the family legacy by taking a crack at Indy 5. Now, the news is not confirmed yet, but based on what we've heard from some little birdies ourselves, we got little birdies, we hear from them, we think it's legit. Indy 5 is expected to release sometime in 2020. All right, let's talk about The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, he is returning to the jungle. Yep, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is getting a sequel, which makes sense because it made a shitload of cash, a rock bottom of cash, a people's elbow of cash. Yeah, I was a wrestling fan back in the day. The reboot pulled in almost $1 billion, and perhaps more impressively, it held its own against Star Wars The Last Jedi. So that's a pretty big company. It looks like the movie bosses at Sony want to keep to that formula because they've dated the sequel for December 13th, 2019. That puts it 1 week before J.J. Abrams' Star Wars Episode 9. That is some big balls to do that. But you know what? You know who's got big balls? The Rock. He's down for it. Dwayne Johnson took to Instagram to announce the release date and promises he will once again slap Kevin Hart's lips into next week. So now we know that Kevin Hart and his lips will likely return, which bodes well for Karen Gillan and Jack Black to maybe also fill out the roster. All right, that is all the news we got for today. Let us know what you think about all these stories in the comments below. I read them, I check them out, and for all your news from every corner of the internet, like this video, subscribe to The Know. And have a good weekend. Between now and Wednesday on PC, now, man, I had a perfect going.
You were doing so well.
The reboot pulls in almost I was doing so well, and then it just, I had 5 solids in me and then just fuck it. Forgot how to read.